The universe isn't vague and ignorant. I am vague and ignorant. Something is true, and it doesn't matter what it is. I'm not going to be false any more. I have not even the slightest trace of the slightest reservation about the fact that I would rather suffer and die figuring out what is true than continue this life as a slave to lies and ignorance. I just reread those last few paragraphs, and they come somewhat close to what my brain looked like after the explosion. Death, rebirth, events come in all shapes and sizes, and this was my first step. This was the one that separates who I was from what I am now. That was the day I set fire to my life and went to war. The next 2 years were spent in a state of burning obsession. I quit my job, dumped my belongings, and moved from Chicago to a small town in Iowa. I scoured bookstores and took full advantage of the local library's statewide lending program. I bought a computer and spent hours every day hunched over the keyboard trying to express the truth. I read and I wrote. I edited, discarded, and rewrote. Every few weeks I would delete all my files, reformat all my disks, and burn, literally, in a kettle barbecue, all my notes and handwritten pages. I almost never read anything I wrote because the mere act of writing it rendered it obsolete in my thinking. I severed all ties, no job, no friends, no family, and had only a few possessions. I did nothing else. I had no other thought. I went for long walks, thinking, pounding away at whichever door I was stuck behind at the moment. And then one day, after a couple of years of this, I was suddenly done. Just like that. Done. Although I didn't think of it in these terms, I had become enlightened, satoried, awake, truth-realized, a jnani, Buddha, whatever you want to call it. Getting the hang of this new state, however, would take me another decade. I've been asked if I'd do it all over again if I had the choice, but it's not something I chose in the first place. There was never any decision. I never made any choice. It's not like a career path where you set your sights and go after it. It's more like you're walking along a mountain path that suddenly turns to mud, and you find yourself hurtling at breakneck speed into the unknown, and before too long, hurtling at breakneck speed into the unknown becomes your reality, and then, one day, equally without warning, you're launched into empty space. And, before too long, empty space becomes your reality. That's where I am now. Empty space is my reality. The void. No self. I abide in non-dual, non-relative awareness. This is the part that can't be explained. I can't frame it in words, even for myself. No one can say, I am enlightened, because there is no I to it. There is no such thing as an enlightened person. The person writing these words, the person that speaks to the students, isn't the enlightened one. My personality, my ego, what appears to be me, is just an after-image, a physical apparition based on residual energy patterns. Jed McKenna is like the outfit an invisible man wears so that he can interact with people without freaking them out. So, anyway, that's a little bit about me.